All right, once you've got your game going, it's tricky sometimes to keep the game going, especially if energy dies or if something happens to distract the group, or or if the game kind of begins to run its course. Or anyway, we'll talk about more about that in a second, but it can be difficult. Um, in the middle of the game, you have to constantly be reevaluating the enthusiasm and the safety. Those two things, particularly, because enthusiasm can die once the game's not new and exciting, once they've become comfortable with it, or once they kind of have done everything they can do for the game, but you still want it to last longer. Or if they get bored, then they often tend to, especially with younger kids, get a little out of control, behave in ways that might be dangerous. Like maybe they start kicking each other, if they're young boys, or they try to mix it up by doing things that might be dangerous. And so you have to constantly be reevaluating for safety. So you have to kind of be watching to make sure that the excitement of the activity is where it needs to be for the current moment in the activity. You can't really be, in order to be able to see what's going on throughout the game, you can't play it. In order to be able to really evaluate enthusiasm and safety, you need to be able to take a step back, to monitor it, to see how the enthusiasm is, to see how the safety is doing. But you can participate. It's a really good way to lead by example if you want people to be acting a certain way, especially if they're starting to get a little bored or safety's down. You can come in and be excited and behave properly. But it's also a good opportunity to let other people to step up and take on a leadership role. A really great opportunity to do that. During the activity, you should be playing a low visibility role. You shouldn't be the ball hog. You shouldn't be running the activity. I mean, you can be running it, but you shouldn't be the main person participating. Let other people answer questions once you've done the initial DDADA answering of questions. Let other people answer questions. It's good for them to have a sense of ownership over the game, and maybe they'll be able to explain it in a better way than you could. That's difficult to do sometimes, but it's all about avoiding ego. It's not about you. The game can't be about you. If someone else can help, let them be in charge. Let other people MC the game. Let other people be it, and not just you. It's not about you, Ember. It's about the game. It's about the participants experiencing flow, which we'll talk about later. But flow is a balance of challenge and skill, which is one of the main goals of recreation, is to experience this. Flow is a time when you aren't aware of yourself, and you probably had an experience like this where you're participating in an activity where you lose a sense of time. Time's fun when you're having fun. Right? Time flies when you're having fun. That kind of phrase. That's what that's coming from, is experiencing flow, where the challenge balanced with your skill. It's you're not worried about how you look. You're not worried about anything except for just being in the moment. And sometimes letting them be the point person and stuff can help encourage that flow. If you are encouraging someone else to become a leader, it can be a little rocky, but if it doesn't work out, don't just jump in and take over, because it takes away it totally blows the wind out of their sails. Give them a chance to struggle. It's okay. If you need to aid a little bit, that's fine, but don't just take over. And make sure that you're careful to only give leadership positions over when it is a good choice, when it is a good decision to do so. When it comes to safety, as the game continues, you have to really watch for it. Like I was saying earlier, it's really your role to make sure that people are being safe. Interact with people, monitor things. If something does go wrong, be the first one to react, or something started to head in the wrong direction. Be able to step out of fun zone. It is not a good idea to always just be the fun guy. You have to be able to take a step back and be serious. So people will take you seriously and listen to you. My husband teaches 10-year-olds. He teaches 5th grade, and he starts out the year by being more serious with the students so that they know he has a serious side. If he starts out super fun, then they don't take him as seriously when he needs to be serious. And this might not work out for you, but you need to be able to be taken seriously when it is time to be serious. Take a step out of the fun zone, so to speak. Some ideas for attention getters, basically something to kind of stop everybody when they're starting to get a little out of control. Freeze and think. Just have them freeze and then have them think about how they need to be behaving. That's a good opportunity to kind of model how you want them to be acting. A ripple stop, where you have the front row and the middle row and the back row start or stop what they're doing. An exaggerated or anticipated timeout. I'm letting them know we're gonna stop in a second. Modeling again the behavior. Giving a lecture does not work. It's on the list here, but it doesn't work. Kids and adults to be the same. We usually hear about 5 words and then we're about done. So if you have something to say, you want to say it needs to be done in about that amount of time. Lecture just is in one ear, out the other. Having them make a pledge, having them promise to behave a certain way is a good idea. People tend to want to live up to our expectations. So if they pledge to do something, they're more likely to do it. And then giving them a safety cue, something like, if I flicker the lights, it means that we're getting a little out of control and you need to calm down, or something like that. Can be a good safety idea. Support great playing. This is where we get into flow, or big fun is another word for flow. If you need to, you can change the rules in order to make it so people are still having a balance of skill and challenge. Like if they're starting to get bored with the game, you can make the rules more intense so that they can maybe be given an additional challenge in order to keep that skill and challenge balanced. Check for clarity, make sure people understand what needs to be done. Invite people to participate if they're not, or to play on a different role. Check if they're bored. Don't ask if they're bored, because that doesn't look good, but you could say something like, are we ready to move on? Or how's it going? And then they'll let you know how the game's going. In order to keep the game going, you have to adjust. This goes back to DDADA. The last A is for adjusting. You can adjust it by breaking a rule, adding some sort of variety to the game, or a variation, or something. A balance between different kinds of games. Don't play one game too long, or one kind of game too long, because then they tend to get bored with the same kind of game quicker. Make sure the games coordinate if possible, like you have them have a similar theme, especially if you're going toward a theme. Build up and break down. This goes back to the idea of a flow to entertainment. When it comes to entertainment, there's a flow. You can go to it. I was in a performing group in college, and this is what we used. Your starter games are right here. So like you're going to start in kind of the middle. Something like a game that's not super high energy but fun. And then you can have like a super high energy game right here. And there's super low energy games as well. So you have it balanced. See, it's balanced. You can kind of have games throughout this flow so that the energy level doesn't stay the same the whole time, so they don't get exhausted or bored. And it's good to end on a high note because it leaves them wanting. It makes them want to play more, and want to see you again. And if you need to have transitions, like right here, say, you can have those transitions be a game themselves if need be. It's a fun way to do things. Okay, I can't figure out how to get rid of my pen. Okay, we'll just pick up the next half of this in the next lecture.